Together with the program Across the Kazakh Land, we continue to explore our home country. In this episode, as we leave, we find ourselves in the region of North Kazakhstan.
Было бы немного теплее.
It would be a little warmer. Oh, that's it. I will finally see Mangistau in all its splendor. I have been waiting for this meeting for a very long time. Stop. Stop. In this episode, we will visit the Imantau-Shalkar resort area. It is not as famous as Burabay, but no less beautiful. Thanks to the repair of 273 kilometers of roads, the flow of tourists increased by 40%. Last year, a comprehensive plan for the development of the resort area Imantau-Shalkar was developed. This plan provides for 60 large-scale events in 10 areas. In general, 22 billion tenge is provided for the implementation of these measures for the period between 2019-2025. Many tourists visited us already this year. At the moment, domestic tourism is developing, while all recreation areas in the district have been filled with vacationers. But blogger Aliya Akmalisheva is not happy about this. She believes that Kazakhstan is a country not intended for mass tourism, will only harm the Imantau-Shalkar resort area.
Экологично мы называем. Экологичная жизнь,
When we say eco-life, eco-friendly recreation, eco-friendly food, it means to be rational and not harming anything. Yes, the rule is not to harm. Unfortunately, our tourists do not know how not to harm. They are selfish and ill-mannered. They mostly want service, while the local population is simply worried about their small homeland. And I even mentioned it in several interviews that if I could, I would declare the entire territory of Kazakhstan a national park and set a tough filtration system. I would allow here only conscious, eco-friendly tourists, real tourists who know how to see beauty in small things and not leave anything bad behind.
Настоящих туристов, кто умеет и увидеть прекрасное в малом, ну и не оставить после себя ничего плохого.
I agree with every word Aliya said, and I also urge you to behave consciously in nature. In order to behave consciously, you need to fall in love with this land. There are 3 Shalkhan lakes in Kazakhstan, near Ural, in Aktobe region, in a picturesque place at the foot of mountain Ayertau, 70 kilometers from the city of Kokshetau.
Өзеннің суы тұздылау екен, теңіздің суына жақын.
The water in the lake is a little salty, similar to seawater, so the mud here is medicinal. All campers and tourists get mud from the depth of the lake on their own. Specialist services are not provided here.
Керек балшықты өздеріне өздері алады, оны арнайы алып беретін ешқандай маман жоқ.
They say that the reason for the healing properties of the mud and water of Shalkhan Lake is that it is closed. Only a few streams flow into it in early spring. The water in the lake is so clear that you can see the bottom at the depth of 2 meters. I checked it myself. The lake is 12 kilometers long and 3 kilometers wide, with the maximum depth of 15 meters. According to the observations of ecologists, the level of the lake has dropped by several meters over the past decades. But this does not in any way stop people from swimming, the favorite way of recreation for Kazakhstan citizens.
Я путешествую глазами и получаю удовольствие.
My eyes also travel, and I get pleasure and inspiration while contemplating the surroundings. It is enough just to come to Shalkar and get a huge boost of energy, if people know how to do it. If they love water treatments, then of course go for it. The only problem is cold water. Here you also have to be quite careful, because children who do not know how to control their wishes can only be pulled out from the lake with blue lips. You have to take into account approaches, depth, rocks, all of this.
Скалы, вот это вот все нужно, безусловно, предусмотреть.
Soccer is a proven way to get kids out of the water. We watched a fascinating match on the sand. you and your children have already had fun in the water and played football, what else tourists who come to Shalkhan can do? Aliya knows the answer.
Кроме развлечений, на
In
Shalkhan
addition to entertainment, you can get everything from your rest on Shalkhan Lake. Fresh air, swimming, photo sessions, selfie tours and historical tours. This includes hiking, climbing, some sports with elements of mountaineering. In other words, unlimited possibilities, only if there is a will. Fishermen and those who like to collect things will definitely have something to do on Shalkhan Lake. The lake abounds in fish species such as perch, rudd, bream, pike perch, pike, catfish, burbot, crayfish and many others. Even if you can't go fishing, you definitely won't be left without fish. More than 100 species of mushrooms and berries are found in the forests near the lake. Local herbs and plants are listed in the Red Book. It is worth taking a walk through the forest to see them. I will go and take a stroll in the forest and you will find out how Adilet spends his time on the Caspian coast. The locals did not recommend that I swim in the sea in the city of Aktau itself. Everyone was talking about some kind of blue bay. I decided to check it myself. The Blue Bay is located on the southeastern coast of the Caspian Sea in the southwestern part of the Tubkaragan Peninsula in Tubkaragan district of Mangistau region. A small sea bay with a sandy coast, 546 meters long from south to north and 123 meters wide, is formed by the converging mouths of Tulkili and Uzin Kudik canyons. What do you think it is? You will find out now. While we are going to one interesting attraction, I'll tell you about the Blue Bay. On the southern side of the bay, you can find the remains of a stone wall built in the Middle Ages. In the north of the beach, part of the multi-track road has been preserved. Once upon a time, carts of our ancestors loaded with fish drove along it towards Fort Shevchenko. The Devil's Finger. It is a lonely rock. For daredevils jumping into the water, it is a source of a real adrenaline rush. It's very dangerous, but what can't you do for the adrenaline rush in your blood? This interesting natural object is located 500 meters from the bay, or about a 10 minutes walk. The rock on the side of the coast has a small cave. A narrow strip of beach, several kilometers long, lies next to this natural site. There are huge boulders, pink blocks of limestone polished by the sun and water. On the terraces of the cliffs, one can see stone cuttings created by the powerful nature itself. The water at Devil's Finger in the Blue Bay remains clear even in a storm. It doesn't get muddy with sand. The thing is that the sand is formed from the seashells ground by endless wave shoals. And they are heavy, and even the wind is unable to lift them. Scuba divers come to the Devil's Finger also. Divers love this rocky area because of the clear sea water. This attraction has one more special feature. If you look closely at the Devil's Finger, you will see the profile of a person. As you move to the right or left, you will see a smile or anger on his face. Amazing mysteries of nature. If you come to the Blue Bay in spring, you will be amazed by the abundance of flowering plants. In the fall, you will be surprised by the amount of berries and dry plants. You can meet turtles, monitor lizards, snakes living here. You will see grazing horses, running gazelles and saigars, flying swans, geese and ducks. We were here in the summer and we did not see any animals and birds, but we admired the surf, the snow-white beach and smooth rocks. However, time is inexorable. It is time for us to leave the Caspian coast and move a little inland. The canyon is located about 90 kilometers north of Aktau. It was formed as a result of the descent of seasonal waters. In its upper part, a rocky river bed can be clearly traced, which is interrupted by a 13-meter cliff. The gorge consists of an upper and a lower cascade. At the edge of the canyon, there is an abandoned fishing village. We are located in the Saura Canyon, Mangistau region. A special animal lives here. Let's go to see it. This animal is a relict marsh turtle. A difficult situation has developed in its habitats on Lake Saura. On the one side of the conflict, farmers who need to water the cattle, and on the other side, turtles who need to lay their eggs on the shore. The only sandy beach near the lake is trampled by livestock. The relict marsh turtles are threatened with extinction. Eco-activists try to solve this issue by building a fence, but when we arrived at the place, we did not find the fence. But I was lucky to see the local inhabitants. I recently read an interesting fact. Turtles can distinguish and remember human faces. Let's check it out. Look at me. Look at me. Try to memorize my face next time I come here. Did you see how cute it is? Tortilla are the largest inhabitants of the lake. Their size reaches 30 centimeters. Turtles are black in color with yellow blotches, they have a long tail and there are membranes on their paws between the claws. Reptiles feed on mollusks, crustaceans, worms, aquatic and terrestrial insects and their larvae. Under normal conditions, they rise to the surface every 20 minutes and breathe air. But I guess this one decided to linger on the shore.
негізі Саура өзенінде тасбақалар өте көп. Суға кетіп барады.
It goes to the water. Look, look, look.
Сау бол.
Bye-bye.
Келесі кездескенше.
Until next time.
Мені міндетті түрде есіңде сақтайтын.
Remember me. Compared to the surrounding desert nature, the canyon has its own special mild microclimate with rich vegetation and drinking water. The depth of the lake is 5 meters, but in summer due to the heat, it becomes very shallow. The fragile ecosystem of these places is heavily influenced by grazing. Vegetation is shrinking and the water is polluted with excrement. The Saura Canyon contains the farthest freshwater source from the sea coast in the area. Friends, let's take care of it. Once upon a time, a small mulberry grove grew at the entrance to the gorge. Today, the only thing that remained from it is one tree. Volunteers planted 30 seedlings to replace the loss from the fire. I hope by my next visit the grove will be restored. We drove a little from the canyon and came across a sprawling mulberry tree. A great place to take a break and refresh. We are having a great time in Mangistau region. Let's see how Akzer is doing. From the vicinity of Lake Shalkar, we went to the homeland of Shalkhan Walikhanov to the village of Sirimbet. There is an amazing architectural monument, the museum estate of the grandmother of the outstanding scientist. The place was not chosen by chance. Sirimbet is magnificent. Low hills framed by pine trees not only protect from the steppe winds, but also delight the eye. The estate was built by the order of Emperor Alexander I and by order of the Governor-General of Western Siberia Kaptsevich for the widow of Kanwali Ayganim. 5,000 rubles were allocated from the royal treasury for its construction. The original historical manor, similar to the houses of Russia's rich and middle-class peasants, was almost completely burned down since it was made of wood. And in 1993, by the decree of the government of the Republic of Kazakhstan, the estate underwent reconstruction and was restored. From all this, we can now draw a conclusion. Houses should not be built only from wood.
Бұл үйдің сонда осындай болғандығын Кім айтқан дәл осы?
And how did you know that this estate looked just like that?
Көзі жоқ кезде.
шағында Шалкхан Валихановтың суреті бар.
A child's drawing by Shalkhan Walikhanov and a drawing of the Ayganim estate have been preserved. These drawings were used to recreate the map and the project of the estate.
Қай жылы салынды?
What year did the project appear?
93-те
Үш жыл
салынды.
осында.
The excavations began in the 1980s, and in 1993 the estate was restored. And before that, there was no estate. Before that, there was nothing at this place. This estate was opened in 1993 with the participation of the first president, Nursultan Nazarbayev, during the official visits of the presidents of Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan. The estate museum has been operating since that day. The area of the estate is over 4,000 square meters. In a large fenced yard, there is a manor house with a living room, a servant's house, outbuildings, a mosque and a madrasa.
Ашып өзіңіз кіре беріңіз.
We come in.
Аяқ киім
Do we need to take off our shoes here?
шешкеніңіз.
I think it would be better if we take off our shoes.
Осында үш бөлмеде.
The mosque has 3 rooms. Minaret is intended for the call to prayer.
Мешіттің жалпы
From the exterior, the mosque does not look like those that we are used to seeing, since according to historical data, this mosque was built by the Don Cossacks.
қазақтары салған екен.
The mosque is positioned slightly wrong. Even in the book, it is described that Ayganim did not like that the mosque was built incorrectly. It was supposed to face the direction of Mecca, so it was built a little wrong.
Шоқан Уәлихановтың әжесі Айғаным апамыз енді ханшайым болғанына қарамастан
Despite the fact that Shalkhan Walikhanov's grandmother Ayganim was a Khan's daughter, she was very down to earth. Mullah, who worked in this mosque, taught not only the Khan's children, with the permission of Ayganim and at her request, other children from the village could study here too.
дәл осы жерде білім алған екен.
Enlightened and educated Ayganim revered art, encouraged the pursuit for knowledge and science. The madrasa taught not only religious knowledge, but also the basics of natural science, other sciences, and the Russian language. For the village children, it was a chance to get a decent education by the standards of that time.
Осы үйде Шоқан Уәлиханов
Shalkhan Walikhanov spent his childhood in this house. He lived in this house with his grandmother Ayganim until he was 12 years old. The house was almost completely burned down, and during the reconstruction, the architects tried to restore the former interior setting.
болған дүниелерді қайталауға тырысқан екен.
Енді тұрған үйлеріңізді өздеріңіз көргендей.
Did you see how beautiful the furniture is in the manor? To reproduce the furniture of the 19th century as it was, an order was specially given to Oskamen for the manufacturing and decoration of furniture.
Өздеріңіз көрдіңіздер.
Сондай-ақ маған осында жүрген гидтің айтуы
According to information that I was told, this traveling bag belonged to Shalkhan Walikhanov himself. He always took it with him on the road.
заты екен.
Не, жеке зат.
Here are his personal things that were in the estate. They were found during archaeological excavations. A box and an ashtray. There was such a table. It was called secretary.
Секретер деп атайды.
All these things burned down during the fire and then were restored.
Теніп кеткен, иә? Сосын қайтадан жасалды, иә?
Yes.
Қайтадан жасалды, аха.
Осылай ашылады.
Shalkhan Walikhanov came here for the holidays from the Omsk Cadet Corps. The estate played an important role in the popularization of educational ideas and culture in the Kazakh steppe.
Айғаным қонысы әрдайым
Ayganim Manor was widely known among famous people whose activities were related to education and culture. Such famous people as scientists Semyonov Tenchansky and Usov, as well as songwriters like Burabay, Aristanbay, Shuja, Jana came here to learn history.
Келіп, осы жердің тарихымен танысқан екен.
The museum constantly hosts introductory exhibitions, literary readings, and interesting lectures. The only pity is that the museum does not function all year round.
Бұл енді тарихқа толы.
This is a historical place, but it is better not to come to this house, now a museum, during winter season, since at this time of the year the house is not heated. This museum is open only from spring to early fall. It feels like you've traveled to the 19th century, and now we return to the 21st century. We will go to admire the beauty of Imantau. Lake Imantau is located next to the village of the same name. It is located more than 300 meters above sea level. The lake is surrounded by hills, which slopes are covered with pine and birch trees. The length of the lake is more than 13 kilometers. The maximum width is about 5. The coastline is over 35 kilometers long. There are no sharp drops at the bottom of the lake. The bottom landscape is varied. Stony replaces silty and sandy. A stream and a small river, Kensari, flow into the lake.
Имантау өзені қазіргі таңда туристер арасында үлкен танымалдылық.
Lake Imantau is currently very popular with tourists, including among young people, due to the fact that in the middle of this lake there is the Island of Love. Young people called it the Island of Love. Young men chose this place for marriage proposals, and its main name is the Island of the Cossacks, because during the Civil War, it was on this island that Cossacks often gathered. Now this Love Island is 4 kilometers from me. I decided not to go to this island. I will go there next time with my significant other.
Болған кезде бара жатармын.
From a bird's eye view, you can see that the Cossack island has a heart shape, hence its romantic halo. The coast of the island is covered with Cossack juniper, which gives it a unique look. Scots pine, warty bird, cherry and raspberry grow on the island in small quantities. And for the followers of a healthy lifestyle, the island has prepared a scattering of medicinal herbs.
Осында тұратын аймақ тұрғындар.
According to local residents, there are many snakes and lizards here, both in the forest and on the coast and in the water. I think tourists need to take this circumstance into account as well.
Ескеруі тиіс деп ойлаймын.
By the way, recently there have been more tourists in Imantau since the Imantau-Shalkar resort zone was included in the top 10 tourist destinations in Kazakhstan, and they started to promote it in media more actively. According to last year's official information, 65,000 tourists came here to rest. Of these, 15% were foreign tourists. Our main tourists come from the border regions of Russia, and the rest come from Europe. They say selfie tours are popular with tourists here. I like this idea. I'm ready to be photographed in any place, wherever I am. Our photo frame feature is my favorite. Take a similar photo and post it on social networks with the hashtag across the Kazakh land, and maybe you will be lucky enough to win some cool prizes. You know what else I like about this place? The purity and virginity of nature. I feel like a discoverer of these places. Our main value, our pride is of course our nature. How wonderful it is to walk through this dense pine forest or just swim in Lake Imantau, one of the most beautiful and clearest lakes. Today, Agzea watched children play football on Lake Shalkhan, examined the state of Shalkhan Walikanov's grandmother, and was sad that she didn't have her significant other with her to go to the Imantau's Island of Love. And Adilad trained the visual memory of a relict marsh turtle on Lake Saura, contemplated the profile of a man on Devil's Finger in the Blue Bay, and rested in the shade of a huge mulberry. Travel with a team of Across the Kazakh Land program.